So we did the best watch releases of 2022. Now let's take a look at the worst. Honestly, I could go on all night. The list is as long as my arm, but in the interest of brevity, I've boiled it down to just 6. So in reverse order, let's take a look. At number 6 is the Rolex GMT Master 2 left-hand drive, the Sprite. When I first saw this watch, it gave me a headache. I didn't know what I was looking at. It looked like they just spun the dial around 180 degrees and then just turned the watch upside down. Apart from the squinting that I did trying to figure out what the thing was, it was also like, why are you pointing at that part of the market? I mean, the lefties out there, don't they just wear their watch on the right hand? What's the big problem? You wouldn't make a left-handed spoon or a left-handed pen. Lefties have been getting on fine with regular watches the whole time. Now, a lot of people, including myself, believe that this watch isn't going to last very long in the catalog. So that makes it possibly very collectible once it gets discontinued, which could be as early as next year. But that's not reason enough to want a watch or to buy a watch. This thing is just weird and odd, and it was the most meh release of the whole year, I think. At number 5 is the Omega Seamaster 300M in Canopus Gold. Now, its baby brother in steel got number 1 in my favorites list. So how could this one make the least favorites? Well, I just think that this watch has no real home other than Jamaica. It's got the Jamaican flag in precious stones around the bezel. I mean, no offense to Jamaica, lovely people and all, but like, would anyone outside Jamaica buy this watch now? I know it's a nod to Ian Fleming and all of that, but how many people even know that Ian Fleming had a connection with Jamaica? You know, it's the weirdest thing. It's also super expensive, like crazy money. Omega just can't help themselves. They have to add something odd and unreasonable in there. Omega, just stop it. Stop it. Stop it. At number 4 is the newly revised Rolex Airking. Now, I own one of these watches. It's a gorgeous watch. It's a solid stainless steel sports Rolex. There's nothing you can say that's bad about it, other than the fact that I wonder why they even did it. Now, we're all expecting them to discontinue the previous Airking. That would have made sense because it's kind of an obsolete watch anyway. The design is a bit weird. That gave it a lot of charm. Instead, what they did here is they tried to fix a problematic watch, like adding the 0 in front of the 5. I really don't see why that makes any fucking difference at all. And then they just gutted the watch. They like took the beautiful big shiny case that it used to be in, and then they kind of flattened it down, and now it just looks like an Explorer 2 from the side. They basically took away all the character. I mean, we loved that the dial didn't make much sense with all the 5s and that 5 by itself, and then the mixture of fonts and things. We got to love it for that reason. It was a little bit odd and quirky, but it had character in the end and just made it into another unremarkable stainless steel sports Rolex. It's not a terrible watch. It's a cool watch. If you own one, please don't get offended. I just don't know why they did this. Why would they gut the entire watch trying to repair it, trying to fix it, trying to straighten it up? Its whole character was the fact that it wasn't straight and that it was peculiar. At number 3 is the Audemars Piguet Royal Oak Offshore Music Edition. Listen, guys, I'm a music producer. That's my main occupation and has been for years. Mind you, lately it's been more YouTube that I'm doing. And people ask me all the time, are you going to put your name down for one of those? You're a music producer. It's got a little graphic EQ on the dial and so on. The truth is, guys, no. Now, I know they have Mark Ronson as brand ambassador. He's a very famous producer. He discovered Adele. He produced Amy Winehouse and many others. And I think they tried to get him to kind of team up with them with this music edition and kind of be the spokesperson for this, you know, the face next to the watch. But I don't think he was taking the bait. And I completely understand, like, it's too corny. Also, you can tell that whoever designed the dial isn't much of a muso themselves, because there's one graphic EQ up and then another down and then another up, and that wouldn't happen. That doesn't happen in Sonics. So right out of the gate, anybody who knows anything about Sonics would just get irritated by that. We're not interested in that watch for the same reason as we're not interested in little musical notes on the dial. It's just too bloody cheesy and corny, and I don't know. Now, I know AP are a little eccentric. They're the pop artists of the Holy Trinity of watches, right? They do some weird things sometimes. They released those fully sapphire watches there a few months ago in only like 24 pieces or something ridiculous. And then, of course, there was that hideous Black Panther nonsense. So I do understand that they get a little experimental and a little tongue-in-cheek and so on sometimes. But no, man, I'm not buying a watch with a little graphic equalizer on the dial. That's just so lame. At number 2 is the Omega Swatch collaboration, the MoonSwatch. Now, this made the list of favorites also, so how can it be in both lists? Well, look, it was a very significant release of the year, maybe the most significant one. Whether you like hearing that or not, it's true. And I think the concept was really cool with the planets and all of that kind of stuff. But of course, there is a dark side, a very obvious dark side. Real Speedy fans felt like it was a bit of a mockery of their favorite watch. And the release itself was plagued with issues, not least of which the mobs of people trying to get their hands on a small amount of stock. There was a thing about the bioceramic. So you mean plastic? Okay, got it. And then all the rumors about the pushers falling off and people getting ink marks on their wrist. It's a problematic watch, and it left a lot of people feeling quite cold about the whole Swatch Omega relationship. But I think overall the biggest problem with this watch really is that it seemed like people were being led to believe they were getting an Omega Speedmaster for $250, when actually they were just getting a plastic swatch made to look like one. And in number 1 position for the stupidest watch release of the year, maybe of the entire history of wristwatches, the Rolex Sea Dweller Deepsea Challenge. Like, I swear to God, what a stupid bloody watch. Way too big, way too thick for anyone. Like, what planet are we on? Is this Gulliver's Travels? Who's going to wear this watch? The dial is still tiny. It's basically a Submariner dial in this huge enclosure. It just looks so bizarre. Ugh. I almost feel like they put it into the catalog just to see how bloody desperate we'll get. Also, the whole thing smacks of some sort of immature pissing contest with Omega, who earlier this year announced their Ultra Deep, claiming that it was the watch that could go down the deepest. It's like Rolex got into a sulk and just wanted their title back. At 26 grand, I don't know who the hell could be interested in this watch. I think the quicker we forget about this bloody embarrassment, the better. And that's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed that. As I said, the list could go on and on. There was a lot of really weird releases this year. If you can think of any yourself, stick them down in the comments for me. Use the comments to express yourselves by all means. By the way, a couple of honorable mentions on the favorites list that I somehow left out. The Speedmaster 57, which I absolutely adore, and the Vacheron Constantin 222. Classic piece. Love it. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you again in the next one.